Hey guys, what's going on? It's Spot the Aussie here. It's your favourite motorsport manager, bringing the F1 mod to you guys, the McLaren Challenge, now known as the Race Engineering Challenge, because we've been dumped down to GP2. We've won our first race, last race, with Alexander Rossi, who's our second tier driver, and we've been waiting for scouting results in order to get better drivers, and guess what? I've actually come across de la creme, Mick Schumacher. Of course, he's the son of Michael Schumacher. We've got other names that we've unlocked, like Lucas de Grassi, Nicholas Prost, Bruno Senna, Max Chilton. But of course, looking at Mick Schumacher, is 3 and a little bit of stars, and has almost 5-star potential. That's huge. Let's go into his specific traits. Let's have a bit of a more in-depth look. He's 18 years old, which means he has a long time to progress into order to get his max potential of all those stars. His traits are actually really strong. 12, 14, 12, 13 for overtake, 15 for consistency, 13. The only thing that's a little bit lackluster is that he's got 10 in focus, which is, of course, is your ability to stay on the track and not crash. 10 is actually a pretty reasonable number. And looking at this, he has -2 because he's having a secret affair, which is kind of weird when you're 18 and having a secret affair, right? Would that mean he's already married and he's cheating on her, or has he just got a girlfriend, he's got a side chick as well? I don't know, but it's only going to last for 19 weeks. That's absolutely nothing. Young gun status, plus 10 in mechanic relationship, wonder kid, 50% potential, which means he grows much faster in his traits after a race. Endurance champion, plus 2 consistency, plus 5 in markability, grounded mechanic relationship, plus 15, which is absolutely awesome. Another big thing is his markability, 83%. That's huge. That is huge for a driver of this, and it makes sense, right? The only trait that I wish he had that he doesn't seem to have is son of a former driver, which would give you plus in chairman relationship and plus mechanic relationship, I believe, and a little bit in markability. Or it's like chairman plus markability. So it's one of those two. But you'd think, giving it's Mick Schumacher, he'd obviously have that. So this is the son, and of course I'm going to approach this driver. He's already got low morale. He'd recently got fired, as you can see, because they're trying to skimp out on costs. The main thing is we want to sign him up. We want to try to get him for as little as possible. Wages aren't important, but I want to make sure I get him first go. Status isn't important. So if I put him as second number 2 driver, he will not mind at all. We'll see what he comes back with. Signing on fee isn't really important to him, so let's get him on for 105. Bonus size is important. Let's just throw that out and see what he comes back with, and then if he's like, I don't really like what you're offering, then we'll offer him something much larger in order to get it across the line. As for contract length, he only wants a short contract. That's really surprising. That's really unfortunate. Let's do 20 months. But bump up his signing on fee to see if that will get us in the green with him. Who else should we pick up? I'm actually not going to look at anyone else. What I'm going to do now is, instead of me picking someone, how about you guys tell me who you think should be my second and third driver? Technically, I don't like having a third tier driver because they're just a waste of money. I'd rather just let no one in there for $1,000. But you know what? In the spirit of things, I want you guys to tell me who you think I should bring on as our other driver. Who do you have to choose from? Well, Lucas de Grassi would be our most obvious pick, given he's got the best traits. Wet weather pro, flat spotter, committed to religion. Markability is only 15, so that's actually pretty low. Who else do we have? We've got Nicholas Prost, passionate, which means he doesn't want a lot of money. He's got a renewed passion, which only lasts for like 1 more hour, so that's going to disappear, and he's going to drop down quite significantly. He's 35 years old, so he's actually going to be declining. He's got 35% markability. There's Bruno Senna, which would be pretty cool to have a Senna and a Schumacher in a team at the same time. He's got +2 on all of his traits, 39% markability. He doesn't have the full driver complex that Mick Schumacher has. But who else is there? We've got Antonio Felix da Costa. He has almost 4-star potential. Timesheet hero, which makes him, he's got special conditions which apply during qualifying and practice only. First lap panic, he sucks in the first lap, which is a little bit of a surprising. Not great in the markability sector. Who did I miss? I missed someone in there. Max Chilton, scaredy cat. He gets -1 braking, -1 overtaking, crashed big in Dubai, modifying the replies specifically in that location. Wow, that's pretty big. He sucks at racing at Dubai, but he's not too bad in the markability. My favorite personally is Pastor Maldonado. How can I go past him? He's only got 2.5 stars. He's passionate. He's a pessimist, though. Only has 15% markability. Let me know. Do you guys want to see anyone? Who else is there? Adrian Sittel. He's even lower. We're really scraping at the bottom of the bucket. Nick Heidfeld, 2.5 stars. I think there should have been a little bit more depth with these other drivers. Nilsson PK is only 2 stars. He's crash happy. That doesn't surprise me. Fashionista, which should only last for 13 weeks. He has the latest jacket to go along. Is there anyone who we might have missed that we would recognize by their name alone? Not really. I can't see anyone else. But let me know in the comment section below. Remember, I still have a couple of more drivers being scouted as we speak. There is Kamo Kobayashi, who is the ex-Formula 1 driver, Will Stevens, Will Palmer, and Luisi. Tell me, should I jump ahead and get a 3rd or 2nd tier driver? Let me know. I'll actually do it by votes. Yes, I should get someone. Who should it be, or no? Just, save as much cash as you can, because we need money. Look at us. We're in a bit of a deficit. Or should we wait for Will Stevens and Will Palmer, and then I'll show you guys what they look like, and we can go from there. But more importantly, I want to see if he comes back and likes the offer. Cannot believe it. Mick Schumacher has actually accepted that agreement. That is absolutely ridiculous. He doesn't mind being the 2nd number 2 driver. He doesn't mind the fact that the cost per race is going to be only $353,000, which for him is going to be really low. Signing on fee he's delighted about. He has no bonuses. The contract length is 20 months, so we have him in there for another year. And I'm definitely going to sign him on, and we're definitely going to give someone the boot. It's going to be Guang. Guang is going to get the boot. Unfortunately, son, your time is up. So continue to finances, sign him on, and that is huge. We actually have a Schumacher in our team. I never thought it would happen. I wasn't the biggest fan, but all of a sudden, as soon as we sign up Mick Schumacher, our sponsor appeal goes up to 2 instead of just 1, and we have a new offer straight away. And of course, I'm going to play it smart and wait till just before the race to see if there's any more offers to pick up, because I think there might be a few considering the fact that we've just been bumped up. Here's the article by Will Buxton from NBC Sports saying, "We're absolute champions. We've done a great job signing someone else up," and that's pretty much how the baby bumbles for us. Alright guys, since signing Mick Schumacher, guess what? We have sponsorships raining in on us. For slot number 3, I have 3 different offers, AT&T, Epson, and Johnny Walker. Had a bit of a scan of these, and I think Johnny Walker is definitely our go-to. Target position is 2nd or above. 15 races for the deal length. It's a little bit longer than what I wanted, but it's a $2.5 million upfront payment plus $650,000 if we do decide to pick them as our target for that race. That's doable, considering that we won last race, and we now have Mick Schumacher. I'm really comfortable in picking that, so I think that's definitely a goer for us. How else are we going? What is these ones? We've got Telmax, Watch Computer Center, and they're all 2 stars. So they're all going to be about the same length and breadth. So what are we looking at? 10 races for $1 million up front, $800,000. That is a goal. The one in the middle is the best one. Shortest length time and biggest possible payout. That's what we want. And that's why we wait. We wait until the last minute in order to sign up sponsors, so that way we can pick the best ones. Out of these 3, I can immediately already tell without even giving them a bit of a double look. Randstad instead. Randstad is instead the best sponsor in this slot. Randstad instead. Jesus. I was getting a bit of a tongue twister here while I'm trying to keep up the momentum. Slot 6, we've only got 1 offer. It's 1.6 mil, $150,000. Let's sign it up. It's for 12 races. Hopefully our team markability has gone higher by the time that we get to about that next season, because pretty much we only get about so many races in this season. I want to have a look at the car now. Look at all the sponsors. It looks like a completely different car given all the sponsors, and they're absolutely everywhere. On the front wing, even on the fins. They're on the fins, the front wing main fins, the side of those fins, 2 different ones. On the front, on the side, on the rear as well. It's like a sticker set for a car. It looks a little bit funny, like a bit of a shopping list. But that's alright. One thing I want to check is our traits right now. How are we for drivers? We're actually ranked 4th. So signing up Mick Schumacher rather than having enough, he's bumped us from 10th to 4th. So that's actually a really good sign for us, and I'm pretty happy with that. We're going to have to fight with Mick Schumacher from the rear of the grid, and I'm actually going to stack his car. I feel like he'll have the potential to come back into this championship. Given that, we're going to pick our 3rd or above sponsor. $800,000 is the max we can get, and we're not risking it for 2nd or above. We're going to fix Mick Schumacher's car completely with the better components instead of Alexander Rossi. We're only into 2 races. Rossi's coming 2nd in the championship, but I think Mick Schumacher will be able to leapfrog. First lap for Rossi, he's about to finish his first qualifying lap. He's the fastest car in Sector 2. That's actually quite a big surprise. We've let everyone else go out and do a bit of a qualifying lap. Where is he going to come? He's actually on pole position. Rossi has nabbed pole position convincingly. He's up by 0.473. Schumacher, not fastest at the first sector. Bit of a surprise there. I'm actually a little bit surprised that he's not the fastest car in that first sector, given that the fastest car in the first sector is his teammate. Second sector, is he going to be up? He's going to be up at the second sector, so that's a good sign. That is a really great sign at the moment. He's potentially going to get himself on pole position, get us 2 additional points for the fastest car or the fastest pole lap out there. We can have a 1-2 Racing Engineering pole position front row. We've never done that before. At no stage in my Motorsport Manager career have I ever been able to get both cars onto the front rows. Commentator's curse, Kvyat was able to improve his time and he goes up second. So it's not going to be a Race Engineering front row. Alexander Rossi is going to be starting third. Mick Schumacher is on pole, which is going to be huge. What are we going to do for our strategy? At the start of the race, I expect both drivers to completely gun it from the front rows of the grid. So we've got Alexander Rossi on the soft compounds. We're only going to light up his car with 7 laps of fuel. That's because these tyres for him will go 9 laps. I said 9 laps of fuel because his car will only go 9 laps on those rubbers. So we've matched rubber with fuel. We're going to do the exact same thing for Mick Schumacher. He's going to be starting on the softer compounds. Fuel is also going to be 10 laps, which is going to be right on the brim for him because he does 10 laps of fuel in his rubbers because he's got a little bit of a better trait. Now, from the start, I want them to go back into aggressive mode to try to get out ahead and not be bogged down. They don't necessarily have to burn fuel. I'd rather let them sort themselves out, start on less fuel, and that way they're going to be faster off the grid regardless. The goal here today is, bonus-wise for our sponsors, third or above, our goal personally is to make pole position and convert it into a win. The one thing we have to watch out for is the fact that Alexander Rossi has a very unreliable car. Remember, that was Guang's old car, which is now Rossi's new car. It's going to need to pit for components, parts. So if we can try to get him in the points and stay in the top 6, because the top 6 are the point factors for this championship, that would be absolutely huge for us to do that as well. I don't know how likely that is, but we're going to start here. 4 lights, 5 lights, and it is go. Schumacher's going to have the inside line. Hopefully they get off to a great start. No, they don't. Kvyat's able to kick off on the outside, but Schumacher's going to have the inside corner for the run. He goes around the side-by-side in the front corner. Kvyat versus Schumacher. I thought I'd never actually say those names in the same sentence, but there you go. Kvyat's able to get his nose ahead, but Schumacher, they're side-by-side for many, many corners. For about 1/3 of this race, they're side-by-side. They're still side-by-side. I might just get Schumacher to go into overtake mode just to kick it out enough in order to get his nose out ahead, close the door, shut the door on him, and start to push a bit of a lead there. And he's done that straight away. As soon as he's got around him, now it's Rossi's turn. Rossi, go into overtake mode, make something of it, get both of our cars up on the front row. I don't want Grosjean pulling off a ridiculous move and taking us both out. That seems to be what he's doing. He's actually overtaking us on the outside of the circuit, which is a nuts move, and because he's pushed us out wide, his teammate Gutierrez is made through. So Rossi's already down into 5th, making it back into 4th position just there. I want to stay with his stop strategy, so we're going to go back into neutral mode. I just want the cars to kind of find their way a little bit here and then make the most of it. As for tyres, they're already up to their optimum temperature, if not higher than what they should be. So let's start to just play it safe, play conservative, stick to our strategy. We don't want to stick to what the other cars are doing. Schumacher should really start to be able to push his gap from the front of the race with no issues. Marla has locked up via the commentary. We've just been notified by that in the little commentary box. But it's really important that we watch these tyres to make sure they're not being eaten up alive. As you can see, Rossi's tyres are already on 82%. Schumacher's are on 82 as well. Rossi's are on 81. So Schumacher has a better trait for endurance, pulling out the tyres, which is a +1 in our box because that's going to be part of our strategy. We might have to actually go into a bit of a conservative mode very shortly. Now, this particular track at this time of the year will not rain. I do not expect it to rain, so it's really important we just stick to what we know best. The gap out front to Schumacher is 2 seconds. What's his last lap time? It's a 2:08. Everyone else is doing 2:09s. So he's the fastest car out there, and the grid order, the qualifying order, is pretty much how the laps have done. So we did a 2:09. We snuck into the 2:09s. We basically did a 2:10 if you round it off to the closest second. Grosjean, 2:09 again. and a 209 flat for Kvyat as well. So they're only slightly behind, but Rossi seems to be catching up really fast to the back on this battle pack, and he's going around, he's going on the inside, he's trying to force his way by Grosjean, and that's faded away from the lead. They've gone back into conservative mode. I'm not sure why, but that's been interesting because Schumacher's taken the lead and made the most of it and pushed it out to a 6-second lead already. Both drivers just got back to me and said, look, the tyre temps are too high. We need to go back into conserve mode. They're actually starting to burn up. They're on that fringe of being way too high for performance versus the balance of the tyres. So we're starting to go into conserve mode here. Is everyone else starting to do that as well? Yes, they are. The main thing is, part of our strategy is to ensure that we're not going to be overcut by the guys on medium compounds. They will try to go longer before they pit. So if we push out a gap about 15 seconds, because the actual pit lane for this circuit, I'll let you see it, the actual pit lane cuts while they don't have to go around that long hairpin bendy corner. So the main thing is we have to get out ahead of 10th position by about 20 seconds, and that gap seems to be about 20 from Rossi. 3 seconds, 7 seconds, 10 seconds, 11, and that gap's just going to keep increasing. So I imagine we'd actually come out just behind him with Rossi. Schumacher would definitely come out ahead, and they're on that borderline area where we might need to start to go back into conservative mode. I'm happy with the race pace at the moment, and I don't want to pull them back at all. With Schumacher's car, I can actually start to go into overtake mode in order to balance out the fuel versus the rubber that we have left on the tyres. But I don't want to do that for Rossi's car, because look at it, that gearbox is going to be chewed very fast. He's going to have to pit eventually. So we just got to keep this race pace up. Have a look at the lap times. A 2:10 for Schumacher, keeping up with that race pace. Grosjean doing a 2:11. 2:14 for Kvyat, 2:13 for Rossi. Gutierrez is the second fastest car out there with a 2:11. The main thing is, those tyres are nearly starting to fall off. In fact, if we look at the guys ahead of us, Grosjean is coming in this stop. Kvyat is not going to come in just yet. He's trying to apply a lot of pressure to Grosjean. Grosjean seems to be holding him up. In fact, he seems to be holding up Rossi as well. We're going to go to backup mode. We don't want to pit just yet. We want to try to overcut these guys and make the most of it. We slipped into third position, so we've gone in front of Kvyat. That's a big pass. It's a pass for position. And now, when, there you go, Grosjean goes in the pits, we're going to go back into neutral mode, and we're going to start to push. I'm not going to push those tyres. Schumacher could probably do an additional lap after this, but we're going to have to pit Rossi because those tyres are below that 25% health check mark. And what tyre are we going to come out on is going to be decided upon the gap that we've got. Grosjean's come out. He's already set the fastest first sector. He's going to be held up slightly by the cars ahead of him, I believe. But here we go. What are we going to do for Rossi? He's down by 1.2 seconds, so you can see how much of a difference the tyres make. I want to go to the medium compounds and finish the race with... we might just go 2 medium sets, so it's going to be a 2-stop race. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to see how this race pans out in terms of our strategy. We'll do a balanced pit stop, park condition. I don't want to fix anything just yet. The gearbox is looking a little bit dodgy at this point, but that's alright. How many laps can we go on those tyres? 12, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to set it to 11.5, which will round up to 12 after the pit strategy. So he's going to come in the pits, and coming in second position. So our cars are coming first and second, not necessarily for track position. Let's have a look at Markelov. Where is he in relation to Grosjean? So he is much further behind, but his tyres are already at 38%, so that's not going to benefit him too much. Schumacher, we've made him do an extra lap while he's on those poorer tyres. His race pace only went down by 0.4 on that last lap, so those tyres, being as bad as they are, haven't really affected us too much. Grosjean's just locked up, so it's going to be bad for his tyres. Where does Rossi come out on the track? He actually comes out behind Grosjean, but also behind Marcelo, who's got tyres that are absolutely rubbered in. He's gone the extra lap more than we have. He's on the same strategy as our little Mickey Schumacher. And you know what? I'm going to go to the medium compounds. Play it safe. Nothing wrong there. Fuel. Let's go to same. What is our tyres? 14 laps. Let's go all the way up to 13. Get that rounded up. In he comes. Get that race underway. Rossi set the fastest first sector of this race. Hopefully Marcelo doesn't hold him up too much. I don't want to push Rossi. I'd just rather let him get by him on his natural ability. Marcelo is struggling at the moment, though. That is the thing, and that's going to be a bit of a problem because he's holding us up from catching on to Grosjean, but Grosjean's being held up by Wehrlein anyway. So all the cars that have stayed out an extra lap have struggled to keep up their race pace, and it's made them sucker down a little bit. Schumacher's going to come out on a huge gap. He's got 6 seconds. That's not too bad. Rossi now setting up some good race pace there, doing a 2:08 in that last lap. Fastest car out there at the moment. Not a surprise. Everyone else has come out in the medium compounds except for Kvyat, so he's taken a bit of a gamble by coming out in those tyres, and he's absolutely pushing. Fastest first sector by Gutierrez, a bit of a surprise there. Wehrlein's now set the fastest first sector. Where has everyone else come out on? Wehrlein's come out in 8th position, so he's dropped down because he's tried to go out on those tyres a little bit longer than what he should have. Markelov has pushed out his strategy as well. He was the car that we didn't want to get undercut or overcut by for either of our drivers, and that hasn't been the case. Mick Schumacher has now done a 2:05. He is absolutely blazing out there, but he's not the fastest car. That's because Kvyat and Gutierrez have both done 2:04s. This is working in our favour so much that if we could get both cars on the podium, despite the fact that they're going to struggle, well, Mick Schumacher, we can get him to start going into medium mode. We didn't need him to conserve those tyres. But the thing for Rossi is we want to finish on a soft compound because he will get the performance bonus of 10% from the knowledge that we gained from our practice session. And that would be quite huge for him in order to try to defeat Grosjean at the end. It also depends upon how everyone's car's going. 27%, he might be able to make it last. Had we fixed that gearbox a little bit more, would have been better suited. But if we have to fix his component, it will be a 16-second pit stop, which will shuffle him down to probably 6th position, keeping him in the points. Keeping him in the points indeed. Marcelo is way too far behind. There is a crash. It's only a virtual safety car. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get both cars to go back into backup mode. I only do that because the AI does that. It forces us to go slower, but the AI seems to do that anyway, so we do that as a bit of a mirror effect, and let's go back up. That's actually going to be good for us because it's going to make those tyres last a little bit longer, and it's great news because Gutierrez and Kvyat are fighting side by side in each corner, which means they're going to be battling each other. A 2:14 for Schumacher, and a 2:16 for Rossi. So, I think the fastest lap will always be set after you come out of the pits, because you come out at the start line over here, and you cut the corner. You don't have to do the long hairpin that usually takes the most amount of time. Rossi's tyres are starting to be eaten up, so let's go back into conserve mode. What we might do is we might change him to a 3-stop strategy. It really depends where everyone else is going. A 3-stop strategy might not be too bad because it allows us to fix a component should it need to be fixed. Like, we can better judge, having more segment pit stops, we can better judge fixing a component and risking it the longer it sits in there. So if we were to go in now and fix the gearbox, it'd return to 33%, but then we'd probably have to fix it again later on, which would be impossible if we were holding out for a longer period. So seems to be working out for us thus far. We're going to stick to our 2-stop strategy for Rossi because those tyres seem to be lasting for him. As long as he gets to 25%, we can pit him. We're going to pit for a new gearbox as well. I want to fix that up because that flashing warning light is going to come on at any second. And the other thing is, because we're not pushing the car, it's not pushing the reliability down. Remember, when you start to push the car, the reliability of the vehicle also starts to diminish, because obviously wear and tear equals performance. So I'm in a conserve mode for the driving style to keep the temperatures down, but I'm also in a medium mode for the engine mode. So I'm pretty much safe at the moment to keep Rossi going around. Before I pit, I'd love to get him to about lap 20, just to make sure those tyres are going to sit in there. He's actually in 2nd position because Grosjean is actually pitted earlier than we expected. That's because Grosjean pitted a lap earlier than everyone in the first stint, which has forced his cycle of pitting for tyres 1 lap earlier. Will he be able to get on the end of this race with those tyres? I don't think so. I think those tyres are actually going to be really grazed up, and they're going to absolutely struggle, but that's just me. That could be a bit of a foresight thing. I think he's going to be in a really bad window. As for Rossi, we're going to have to pit him for a gearbox. I can't risk going around and trashing up that gearbox and then being absolutely screwed. So we're going to go into overtake mode because we are going to fix that gearbox now anyway. It's a bit of a shame. That's going to push him back out of contention for a podium, I believe. You never know, he might be able to come back from this one. So medium set of tyres, park condition. It's going to be a fix to gearbox. 15.6 seconds, a balanced stop. If I go to fast, it's only going to go to 20 seconds, 2 seconds better. But if we go to fast, guess what happens? We could have a mistake and drop back like 8 seconds. Another thing we want to make sure is that we fill up with fuel. We don't want to not do that because that would be a silly mistake to do. How many laps are we going to have? We're going to have 11 laps, so round it off. 10.6. Perfect. So he's going to be coming in the pits. Where he comes out will be a bit of a mystery mark at this stage. Schumacher's doing a great job. I'm going to get him to about lap 22, lap 23, and then pit him. He's under no threat from anyone at the moment. Rossi was his biggest threat. Rossi's pitting and going to be pitting for a new gearbox. Looks to be it's actually not a really bad stop at all. It's actually a good stop. Great stop for fuel, good stop for tyres, great stop for repairing the gearbox. So not bad at all. And that means we can go to medium mode for driving style and medium mode for the fuel and try to fight back into this race. We're in 6th position as we speak. Gutierrez is coming out on the softer compounds. Bit of a shock there because if he's come out on those tyres, that means he's going to try to last all the way on those tyres. As for Schumacher, we could pit him twice and still be out ahead. The one thing I want to make sure of is that we try to record the fastest lap of the race. That way we make sure that we're in the money. And I want to see if Rossi, if he didn't have that 16 second stop, he would be up into 4th position. But that's not a bit of a worry. Wehrlein's going to have to pit. Who knows? Kvyat and Grosjean might also have problems themselves. Kvyat seems to be having a problem. You can see that little blinking light. And we're actually going to pit Schumacher on the next lap. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to pit him and then try to make him do the fastest lap of the race. So, soft compounds to get the bonus, no parts need to be fixed. It's going to be a balanced stop, there's no risk there. As for fuel, want to make sure we get that in there, that would be really bad if we didn't. 8.9 laps of fuel is going to be coming in. And what I mean by that is, I think the best time in order to do the fastest lap around this particular circuit is by coming in the pits and coming out of the pits. I'll show you. That's the start line, and there is the pit lane. It goes right around, and this is the slowest part of the circuit. So you avoid the slowest part of the circuit by going into the pits earlier. By going into the pits. So that's going to be a bit of a trick. I'm going to see if that's going to be the case, because I've seen a lot of drivers, when they've done their first lap out, it's been the fastest first sector. That's just because of that position. Rossi's fighting for 5th position. He hasn't been able to make it stick. Stroll is conserving those tyres. We seem to be in a really good place with our tyres. Mick Schumacher's stop is not occurring just yet. He seems to still be coming around to the pit lane. Rossi might lose that position. He's not out of the points. Wehrlein's going to have to pit. He loses that position, but that's okay. I don't need him to get him to fight. He's going to make up for it anyway. Stroll, he gets passed by Stroll. Schumacher's stop happens. What we're going to do is we're going to put him into overtake mode and attack straight from the get-go. And let's see if my theory that you can get the fastest lap by coming out of the pits. I think it's correct. Other people might think it's wrong, but I think it is. Gutierrez should be able to skip away from Rossi quite easy without many dramas. There we go, fastest first sector. So my theory's correct. I think Mick Schumacher's definitely going to set the fastest lap of the race, given that we've done that. But how's Rossi going? Rossi's currently in 5th. Stroll is significantly behind on lesser tyres anyway. Gutierrez is just ahead. He's starting to conserve tyres, so that's something that we might be able to make the most of. Kvyat is only a little bit further ahead. He's pitting as well. Fastest second sector for Mick Schumacher, and Mick Schumacher is definitely going to post the fastest lap. The main thing is, once he crosses the line, I'm actually going to wind back the engine because there's no need to keep pushing. He's done it significantly. He's absolutely blitzed everyone on his debut race. Dramatically beaten everyone. I cannot believe how much better he is when you get the right car and the right driver combination, how good he is going to be. And we will be promoted to F1 at the end of the season. Mark my words. Fastest lap for Mick Schumacher, getting back into neutral mode. That is a great race for us. Ligotti has a mechanical issue. It's been announced. He's smoking it up. There's actually quite a few cars smoking it up right now. And I want to keep watching Rossi's front wing and suspension as he comes around. The brakes are also starting to shake a little bit. He's going to come out into 4th position. No, he comes out into 5th. Like I said, that pit lane is a little bit of a tricky one because you can see cars jumping ahead of each other when they stop. So Kvyat's going to try to set the fastest lap. Let's just make sure that he doesn't do that. If he does, we'll set Schumacher back in the pits and try to repeat what we just did. But Rossi's going to be finishing in the top 6. I'm quite convinced that's going to be the case. I might get him to start to conserve those tyres and conserve the car a little bit more, so we're not going to risk ruining the brakes, suspension or front wing. They're already looking a little bit dodgy. But I don't think we're going to be much of a threat to the guys ahead of us anyway. So that's a really, really, really great race by us. If we can just keep it straighty, 1-8. The only way, realistically, Rossi keeps in the points is if we do pit, if everyone else around us pits. Marcelo is indeed pitting. Wehrlein is not pitting. Gutierrez, is he going to pit? He's not pitting. Kvyat is too far ahead for him. He's not really a contention. And we've got 2 laps to go. Mick Schumacher, do we still have the fastest lap? Let's just double take on those live timings. He did a 2-minute flat. No one else has been around that. Grosjean tried to do that, but he's not close at all. So that's a good result. Rossi is the guy we're watching. 2 points would be an additional bonus for us. It would also bump Rossi and keep him into 2nd place in this championship. So we're doing a good job right now. In comes... No, Marcelo doesn't pit. So he had the indicator that he was going to pit, but he's decided not to pit. That's a big surprise. He's starting to wind everything back though, but he's not threatening to take over the position. That is the main thing. We're going to keep winding this race up. This is just a bit of a war of attrition for all the cars around us. Gutierrez is going to start to struggle on those tyres as well. We could potentially even catch him and pass him. Who knows? This last lap wonders could always be a case. Last lap for Rossi. Mick Schumacher is definitely going to win. Not even going to watch him at the moment because all of our attention is on Rossi. Whereas 4th position, Gutierrez is just ahead. We're now all over the tail of him. Let's slow this lap down. Rossi has gone through, so Rossi's into... He is into effectively 4th position. How far is Kvyat? Kvyat is too far up the road. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into low mode for everything. We just want to get the car across the line. Wehrlein looks to be on the attack to some degree. Let's go back into medium mode, at least for the engine, to keep that gap up. We have no threat that we're going to run out of fuel. In fact, we have excess fuel. But it's just that this guy is taking a lot of lunges at the moment. It's a checkered flag for Schumacher. It is a great result. He says, yeehaw, champagne time. Although technically we can't give him champagne because he's underage. I think he's 17. Maybe he's 18. If he's 18 in Australia, it's legal. If he's in America, it's 21. Daniil Kvyat is also run out of fuel. Where is he in relation to us? He's too far ahead, so that's not going to be a factor for us. But cars still run out of fuel. The patch last time I thought patched all that, but that's a good thing to see that still happens. Rossi is going to finish in 4th position, so we have effectively... Wehrlein's actually going to run out of fuel as well, so he just runs out of fuel while he tried to attack us at the last lap. But we've come out to 1st and 4th. Good result. So we get pole position, and we also get the fast lap. 14 points. That's going to be huge. Where does that put him in relation to the Drivers' Championship? That puts him up to immediately 3rd position. I think we're going to be able to wrap up this season very fast, very early, without many dramas for the rest of the season once we get out ahead. It's only 11 round season, so we've only got 8 rounds to go, so it's not going to be that long in comparison to last season, which was like 15 laps, or 15 races. But how's the Champion's happening? Sure, he's going to have a bit of a grin on his face. I'm interested to see how much of an improvement Schumacher gets for his driver abilities. Is he going to be able to soar up faster than what we would hope, or slower? That's the big question here. Starting to load. Morale is at 99%. Morale for Rossi is actually down by 2.4 because of 4th position. That's surprisingly... Ooh. Alonso de Orleans Bourbon, if that is his name, that is a completely crazy name. I've never heard of that before. He's up to 36% happiness. Team markability does not change. Why not? We just won a race. I don't know why that happens. We won it convincingly. Yonov, our reserve driver, does nothing. Look at that. All of the stat upgrades that he gets. They're not that fast, to be honest. 1% isn't that fast compared to Rossi, which was about 0.5%. But the relationship with the mechanic also goes up. The relationship with the mechanic, Rossi, goes down. I guess because you've got to be in the top 3 in order for Rossi to be satisfied with that result. But we're going to get $2.3 million income. That is good for us. So that means we can start to focus on not only good components, but also getting the right infrastructure down, the right... Be my next move, guys. What should be really happy with that? Should we have a look at the different facilities? What headquarters should we start to fix? I think, honestly, we could do a lot of things. We could fix the... Well, we don't want to do the test track because that's going to be the engine, which we don't need improvements on. But I think we could do maybe the new buildings, handling, brakes, simulator, telemetry, wind tunnel. Helipad would be great if we could get to 5 stars, just to get some more money. But great result for us, guys. This has been a Spot the Aussie video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. The fact that we came first, maybe we can even get a 1-2 in the next race. Be sure to subscribe because I'm going to keep uploading this series every day. Once a day, one video is going to come up. If I get 50 likes in this video, I'll do 2 episodes tomorrow. How does that sound? Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I'll check you guys out shortly. Psh!